Alrighty, let's have a quick run through the pairs for today. We have GU, GA, and USD CAD. Now, mind you, today is a Monday. Mondays can be very, very slow, hence there might not be much movement until later in the US session. Alright, and today, throughout the whole day, we don't really have high impact news. So these news cannot push the price to move even further. Alright, so that's why do not rush at all when it comes to trading today. Okay, so starting with June. Now, if you stay long enough, at the end I will give you a pair that's also been quite popular but didn't reach the top 3. Okay, I'll just give a run through because of that, which would be GJ. Okay, now GU on H4, we have a sell zone that it's currently in. This H4 recently tapped on to the key level. For our sell zone, then we have our buy zone down here. Now, for it to reach this buy zone, it has to break this engulfing fail. It has to break this engulfing fail. But the reason that I did not mark this over here, is because it's so close to our sell zone, right? Which is around 50 pips. Meaning, if I were to do anything and I sold from here, I would TP some in this zone and wait for the H4 for any reactions. If the H4 decides to respect this and the smaller time frames decide to kind of just come up in this zone over here, then I will TP all. But if my H4 decides to close below, or it still closes within but the smaller time frames are creating sell setups, then I will hold my trades and TP at this zone. All right, risk to reward, just to increase it by a lot more, because from this key level to our buy key level is close to 150 pips. So that's 3 times than just getting it over here. But that does not mean us as traders, we are going to just blindly not look at this, right? It's something for us to monitor, but we don't have to risk our money over here. Okay? Excuse me, I'm having the sniffles because of the rain. Now, what can GU do? GU currently is in our sell zone, meaning if H4 in 2 hours and 30 minutes, or is that an hour and 30 minutes, sorry, for the H4 to close. If H4 still decides to respect this zone, then potentially we can catch a sell down. But now that it's in our zone, what can you do? You can go down to M15 and try to find any setups. So in the key level, I already found that we have an engulfing sell over here that the price has yet to break. Okay, so either you can look for smaller time setups in M5 to see if there is anything, because I wanted to come in to test the key level first before I press. Okay, before I press anything, because on M5 I also have an engulfing sell meets an engulfing sell over here. So I want the price to come in, tap the key level again first before I decide whether I'm going to sell or if I'm going to monitor if it's going to break my sell zone. Okay? Again, since we are in H4, look at your time frames or pair your time frames to M15 and M5. Okay? Next, GA. Oops, Mr. Cloud just posted. Okay. So, our GA, I gave a buy last week and it came up all the way, probably 50% of this whole movement, right? 50%. So from the key level to the highest made, ran almost 140 pips before dropping back down into the buy zone. Now, a lot of you are still asking what GA can do. Since GA has gotten back to our buy zone over here, currently just testing the key level, if it still wants to respect our buy zone, we can try to look for another buy up. Okay, we can try to look for another buy up, because with this 140 pips, if you took TP at 20, 40, 80, 100, you would have 7 TPs, right, before it coming down to hit your break even. So now the current price is over here, what can it do? If the price still decides to just respect our zone over here, our buy zone over here on H4, then potentially we can look for buy setups in M15 or M5 to buy back up. Okay, buy back up. But if H4 decides to break low, then potentially it might want to test a lower area. Okay, so either way, let's just try to go down to M15, see if there's anything worth. Okay, we do have it in the key level. Perfect. Let me just map it out for you so you know what I am talking about. Oh, I can use this one better. It's going through the whole key level. Okay, we have a zone over here on M15. All right, which is an engulfing sell that failed. Over here in the process of failing, created a buy. Price came back, closed it, and created another buy. Then we have another buy. So on M15, we have A, B, C, and even D. Okay. So now that we have that, not only that, we also have this engulfing sell that failed, that probably had the same thing, A, B, or A, B, C. Sorry. Okay. So that's two setups in the key level that are trying to push the price up for GA. So what can you do now? We have to look at M15 since we mapped out M15. So either we wait for M15 to close first, then for the next M15, I wanted to create an engulfing buy before I press anything, just to confirm that the buyers are still there, okay, are still there. So we are not rushing into the trades because we are taking into account that this is a Monday. The Monday's volume can be wonky and it can take time. So instead of rushing, I'll wait for M15 to close first, then I'll monitor the next M15. But if you want to go down into a smaller time frame, we have M5 and engulfing buy over here. Even if this closes and the next M5 makes an engulfing buy, that is already a setup in M5 that could accelerate M15 to create an engulfing buy, right? Thinking of it as time is very linear, you add the smaller time frames up to the bigger time frames. So we can also wait for M5 to create that for GA before pressing. Now after pressing, what do? You count 40 pips from your entry price, and then you add 40 pips, right? That will be your SL, not too tight, not too loose. Last but not least, UCAD, still traveling in the void, but it's in our buy zone. Excuse me. So I gave a sell over here last week, and it sold down into our buy zone. Okay, and you see it tapping and bouncing. Now the current price is still in our buy zone. So what do? Again, same thing. Now that's in our buy zone, I will wait for it to come near my key level first before doing anything. Because on the key level itself, I have an M15 engulfing buy. Right, but let's check M5. M5, I also have an engulfing buy by the key level. So I will wait for it to come down. I'll map out the candles over here as a zone. I'll wait for it to tap into my key level first, close, and create a buy setup completely before I press anything. Okay? So that's it for UCAD. But if H4 on UCAD decides to break below, then we know it might want to test a lower area. So for all of the zones, if it breaks above our sell zone, then we wait for the price to retrace to look for buy opportunities. And if it breaks below our buy zone, then we wait for the price to retrace in to look for sell opportunities. Okay? And for our extra pair for today is GJ. Excuse me. Now GJ, like I told you, GJ has not been in this price since 2016. That is 7 years. So it's very hard to get key levels, but I found a zone which was an engulfing fail. Okay, it was an engulfing fail. So now that the price is in our zone, I just know that the price cannot break on H4. It cannot break 175.786. That's the limit of this H4 sell. Okay, that's the limit of this H4 sell, because what we have over here is still a very heavy uptrend on the H4. It's pushing up really, 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 really strong. Okay, so this H4, if and only if, as long as it does not break 175.786, then we can look for sells. Okay, we can look for sells, because on M15 itself, it just broke. It broke this engulfing sell. That was the tippy top of what happened in this zone. So now what we can do is, if it is breaking our potential sell setups, we monitor. Because if it continues, if it decides to come in, close within, create an engulfing buy, now you know that the buyers are trying to push to break the H4 zone. Then, if you have a higher risk appetite, you can enter before H4 breaking the 786. But if you are a low risk trader, then wait for H4 to break that number first before trying to look for buys. Okay, so now I'm just going to monitor GJ if I'm going to enter. I'll monitor this engulfing fail because this is the top of it. So it broke the sellers over here, meaning I will wait for M15 to close within, then create an engulfing buy on M15. But on M5, actually, same thing. Okay, same thing. So that's it for the 3 pairs. Trade smart, trade wise, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.